Welcome back to Portland International Raceways for the Trans Am Series for the BF Goodrich Tires Cup. Huge crowd on hand here. And I'll tell you what, Tommy Archer's prayers were answered. He got a full course yellow. There was debris scattered everywhere on the track. They've elected to go yellow, presumably to clean that up. And Tommy almost wondered if they also wanted to prevent Paul Gentilozzi catching Tommy Archer and what may happen at that point.
As relieved as Archer was to see that yellow, Paul was probably equally relieved, because that was a really curious situation with the flat tire, obviously caused by the contact before the green flag. And there is the debris from that first turn. That looks like the door off Don Sack's car, perhaps. So, I mean, it's not one of these phantom yellows per se, but a little bit more on the Archer story down to Calvin Fitch.
Well, Tommy, you should still be driving, mate, if you got eyes like that. If you could see this valve stem ripped out, here it is on Tommy Archer's left front. Damage right inside the rim, actually. These boys really hitting each other as they went around on that formation lap, and ultimately it cut the left front down. But as we've seen already, Tommy Archer now at the tail end of the field, and he's going to be fighting mad.
And fast. We were talking about it. The margin that he and Gentilozzi had over the rest of the field, including Seb and Simo, Tommy, over half a second in qualifying. Now, of course, that may have closed up in those final practices, but nonetheless, the potential is there with some help for Tommy to come streaming through here.
Well, now, an interesting thing. I'm assuming that they probably did their 6-gallon fill at that time. So another thing to check on would be if he did in fact do a 6-gallon fill. His mandatory stops out of the way, so he's not at nearly the disadvantage you would think. We've got to keep tabs on him and see how he plays through the field.
That'll be interesting to follow up on. Absolutely. You see, I think that is Archer now coming around, rejoining the back of the pack. And one thing that'll help him here, this is a West Coast trip. Oftentimes some of the regular players may not make the entire run. So the field of 20 cars instead of 40 cars, for instance, so he's got less that he'll have to do to get through it.
Well, and this is one of the key strategy things. It was caused by something out of his control. They didn't plan it this way. But for all the other competitors, if a guy makes his stop and a yellow happens subsequent to that, that guy has a tremendous advantage. Track position-wise is at the back of the grid, but the time gap that means is less than it's going to take to stop, slow down, go the speed limit all the way through the pits, and take on 6 gallons of fuel. So if I had to say, I'd say Tommy Archer, believe it or not, is in the catbird seat, assuming there was no other damage to that Viper.
And assuming they did take care of that pit stop, correct, which they very well may have done. So we're watching the field circulate under yellow. Michael Lewis now, Chris Neville, we understand, is out.
Yeah, I'm here with Mike Lewis, who's another victim of Tommy Kendall's frat party down in turn 1. And it looks like the 12 car has got a lot of green and black on it. Mike, can you tell us what went on?
Well, I mean, those of us who've been here before know you can't, you just got to have once you get into the festival, that's it. You got to stay where you are. And some of us haven't been here before, and I guess they're going to make ground there. All I know is I've got hit from the rear. I've got green paint all over the car on the left side, and I don't know. I don't know what happened. I'd have to look at the tape to tell you, but it's certainly disappointing. I think we had a good car, and we're going to try to screw it back together, do some laps, but obviously we're out of it for anything up at the top 10.
Yeah, you can take a look at the car here, and it looks like they have a broken upper control arm. These guys are working real hard right now to get him back out there, and thank God they got a couple caution laps here, because he hopefully won't lose too many laps.
Well, Chris, it looked like it wasn't Miller that got him. It was Gelati turned him across, I think, Johnny Miller's nose.
I disagree.
You don't think so?
I think he knows what happens, and he was given the gentle. I'm pretty sure it was a shot from Miller that turned
okay.
And so he knows what happened. He's being the gentleman given. I can't say definitively that Gelati wasn't involved, but to me it looks like he comes up, catches him in the rear wheel, turns him around, ended up doing some, hurting himself because he was stuck there behind him. But I'm pretty sure it was just those two cars that triggered it.
Well, speaking of some contact, we're going to go back, take another look at that contact between Gentilozzi here. We're on board with Brian Simmel right here.
This is the darndest thing I've ever seen. Watch Paul swerve to the left and come back right into Archer. I'm sure he'll have another explanation, but that's not real pretty.
And it looked like, I mean, he got him right where it would hurt Archer and not him, didn't he? I mean, he read it beautifully, and then
I don't
green. Let's go right quick down, back to Calvin.
Well, a quick update. Tommy Archer was not able to put fuel in at the end of that first lap because he didn't have enough room in the tank. You got to put a mandatory 6 gallons in the tank. They hadn't burned down enough fuel. If you don't put 6 in, you're going to get penalized anyway. So he will be back in for his mandatory fuel stop.
Well, that puts him a little bit more behind the 8 ball, obviously, so he's just going to have to drive. And of course, we've been talking about his health, how he's feeling. Right now, when you've got the red mist along with all that adrenaline pumping in there, he may not even realize that he's in pain until this one is over. I think we're going to see a spectacular show from Tommy Archer. Expect the field to go green now this time by. Lights are reported. Yep, there they are out on the pace car.
I raised that issue with Will Moody yesterday. I said, would you ever consider starting with a lighter fuel load? And the issue becomes how many total gallons do you need to run 125 miles? And so obviously they hadn't burned off enough to get enough in, and there'd be another stop. Yeah,
it's fairly close with the size of the fuel tanks that you can make it with that +6 at some tracks. And this is pretty heavy acceleration in a couple areas, which means consumption. So probably playing that a little close to the vest. They haven't been here since '95, so those numbers they don't know. Meanwhile, here we go. And oh, is that Dreesy trying a big move? And he went way early. And that's a no-no as well. There's Genlow. Here comes Simo. But look at the move by Dreesy as he's trying to come up past everybody. Couldn't get it done. And contact there, but everybody sort of slides through. Or did they? That's Bell in the orange vet. And Kerry Alexander had a pretty good run into that turn, but he got bottled up a little bit, lost a lot of ground. And Miller has dropped way back as well.
He was stuck there behind Lewis for so long and finally got clear. It looks like his car's okay, but he's got a little ways to come as well. There is the possibility we didn't see from that view. Someone could have gotten into the back of Miller, which pushed him into Lewis, but it was fairly clear to me that he's the one that turned Lewis.
So there's Gentilozzi, then Simo, then Said. We go back here with Kerry Alexander. That's Johnny Miller right in front. Now he's up from 17th to 7th for Kerry Alexander. So obviously that frat party, as you were calling it, in the festival in the opening lap, he read it beautifully, was able to slide through and make up a lot of ground.
Well, at frat parties, there are the guys that are known to kind of pick up the scraps, and Kerry Alexander has slipped through there, and you know, it was a long way to go, but that's a good run. 2 Esperantes in the top 7.
And Tommy Dreesy right now, well, he was shown as 4th. That was on the run-in last time. He's dropped back a couple of spots. Justin Bell showing the nose to Lou Gelati. Lou in that yellow and black vet right there. Not enough. Interesting study there. Gelati driving the old-style bodywork vet, and behind him, Justin Bell, the new-look bodywork, the narrow template car with the 3 areas in the wheel wells in the lower 10 inches of the car.
And Justin Bell showing some muscle, had a very nice run from the back at Sears Point, and showing some improved form, starting to gel with Durhog Motorsports. One of the things that we're aware of, they're running a performance friction pad, which has really kind of taken hold in this series. Performance Friction, rightfully proud of their inroads. Last year they had 12 cars. This year I believe it's 22 or 24, as well as most of the IndyCar grid. So Performance Friction coming up with some good stopping products.
Doing some very good stuff indeed. We're watching here to see what kind of progress Mr. Archer may have made. There he is, working around Paul Fix, trying to pick up anything he can here and do it as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, Chris Neville, we understand Randy Ruhlman's pit side.
Yeah, I'm here with Randy Ruhlman, and once again we go back to the frat party, and he was part of that Johnny Miller, Mike Lewis mosh pit action. He's got a lot of damage on the front nose, but that's not why he's in pit lane right now. They had a brand new rocker they threw in this car this morning, and once again on the first lap it broke. What's going on, Randy?
Well, it was a tough break, Chris. We thought we had a real good car after yesterday's final practice, and things got a little exciting up there in the hairpin, and I now understand why they call it the festival, because it was just one big party up there, and everybody decided that they were going to try to go through it all at once, and you know, it broke loose up there, and we got a little bit of damage, but that would have been fine. We would have been good for the rest of the day, but unfortunately, brand new rocker arm let go, and so the engine builder's here. He's going to try to fix it. We'll try to get back out and get some laps.
Yeah, something you don't normally see him doing in pit lane, fixing a motor. Pretty awesome.
Well, it's a tough break. Randy has shown some great speed this season, but his luck just seems to have absolutely deserted him. On board now with Johnny Miller as he is chasing the Corvette of Justin Bell with up front, Lou Gelati in front of them, but up way at the front, it's Paul Gentilozzi over Boris Said, Lou Gelati, Justin Bell, and Johnny Miller running in 5th. We'll be right back to Portland.